What was the craziest reason a teacher at your school got fired? A professor at my college was placed on administrative leave because he was charged with participating in the Rwandan genocide and was deported shortly after. He ended up being found not guilty, although I think he's still in a Rwandan prison for denying that the genocide happened.
Wait, so he was both accused of participating in it and then sentenced for saying it never happened to begin with. Fucking wild.
Human trafficking and 9 counts of sexual misconduct with a minor. That dude went all out. Our AP calculus teacher in high school had a mental break. Ranted for an entire class period about some nonsense. Then drank an entire bottle of salsa. Stormed out and never came back. They had a substitute for the rest of the semester. Which was unfortunate since the sub wasn't a calculus teacher, so they were at a disadvantage for the AP test.
An entire bottle of salsa?
I went to HS in the early 80s in a tiny rural Appalachian town 35 miles from the closest traffic light. We had classes that taught auto mechanics, one that taught carpentry, had a motorcycle riding class and a rifle shooting class and classes for welding and machine shop with lathes and milling machines, etc. The teacher of the machine shop got arrested for making silencers for the mafia. And half the stuff he had us making as class projects on the lathes and milling machines was items he used in making them.
I am from a town like that. Only we had one stoplight in the county. It was on wheels, so you could move it to different places that needed at different times of the year.
A history teacher I had in high school gave us a lot of random documentary movie days, during which she would just sit in the back of her desk drinking tea. The year after I graduated, she had a movie day, and when the film ended she did not get up or do anything but sit there, eyes closed. Fearing the worst, some students went to the office and brought an administrator down, who found she was passed out drunk. They found bottles in her desk.
Why is it always the history or math teachers that are bad teachers? Math are always pedophiles, and history are either drunks or pedophiles. It makes me feel really weird since those are my 2 favorite topics. Anyway, I have to get off Reddit and get back to sharing a cocktail with my grandson.
Cussing out a student. There was a librarian at an elementary school.
Bet that student got an expanded vocabulary after that.
Sent a corn link instead of Google form by email. Many students then commented on the video with a lot of great jokes, funny times.
Took one for the team.
My band teacher resigned and fled back to his home state, but ended up getting arrested on federal charges. He was having sex with band students on trips, and some of them were cross-state borders. His house was searched and he had videos. He got 45 days in jail. His parents are affluent and was able to push the trial out several years before eventually pleading guilty. This was after band assistant was fired for dating a 16-year-old trumpet player while 33. The principal resigned amongst all this.
The principal eyed him a head out.
A student teacher who was coaching cheer gave a girl pain meds, narcotic, without a prescription or permission from parents. She got fired. Never heard if she managed to get a teaching license after that.
I remember a day where I got my braces tightened and asking a friend for a Tylenol. I guess my science teacher overheard because he gave me one, but he made me promise not to tell anybody. Do not know what would have happened if I told someone my science teacher gave me a pill.
Long story short, my French teacher was croaking the lunch lady in school property.
Maybe he was just thanking her for her delicious mashed potatoes?
Threw a chair across the classroom, hitting a student in the process. I think she was going through a divorce or something, but it was talk of the town throughout the whole week. We never saw her again after that.
She thinks she's starring in Crock and Whiplash or something.
He was caught putting a camera under the girls' swimming changing room door. YEAR 6. GRADE 5.
Fucker was sick.
Our teacher was a chronic liar and lied about having a master's and a degree. Funny thing is she actually did have a relevant degree that would have got her the job. Other lies include dating Brad Pitt, being an ex-gang member, and even being a multi-millionaire, but just enjoying teaching.
I had some strong deja vu from this comment. I swear I've seen it before.
At a history teacher show, a bunch of 7th graders drunk history. The goody two-shoes of the class narsed and told her mom, who complained to the school. He was fired by the end of the week. That's the girl that asks if we need to turn in assignments right before class gets out.
He threw pencils at students. One day he threw a chair at a girl who annoyed him. Serious anger management issues. And then they found the child porn on his computer at school. Rumor was that he had also been grooming one of the student aides. I haven't heard a thing about him since the year he disappeared.
Was this in rural Michigan?
Back when I was in high school, I had a history teacher who looked like Santa Claus. And for the most part was a cool and funny dude. He made jokes most of the class and kept it pretty entertaining while still being informative. Well, one day there was this tall curly-haired 9th grade kid who was being loud and obnoxious in the hall. And so Santa teacher went out and asked him to stop as the kid was disrupting his class. Kid did not listen, so he stepped out of the class and asked him nicely to stop talking so loud in the hallway. Now, I am not exactly sure what the kid said to him, but whatever it was caused my teacher to lose it and punched the kid right in the eye and held him against the locker like the stereotypical bully does to the nerd in TV shows and movies. Kid ended up with a black eye and broken nose, and my history teacher was soon fired after that. Turns out my teacher had a bit of a mean streak that popped up every blue moon. Apparently, he almost fought a bus driver who was about to leave a student who was running late from their last class. Edit. For anyone curious, here's a news article about it. www.waf.com. Story, 50,572,162. Students rally in support of teacher facing felony charge. Edit 2. Oh wow, thanks for the awards, kind strangers. You were awesome.
I mean, I think this is just me, but I think the bus driver kinda deserved it.
My middle school history teacher, Mr. Lewis, used to invite me and some of my friends, all girls, into his room before classes. Since otherwise we had to stay in the incredibly cramped hallway. This was desirable, especially when he let us play with Cleverbit on his desktop. Mr. Lewis was pretty weird. He only ever wore velvet suits with pocket squares. And sometimes he'd randomly start crying in the middle of class. Weirdest of all, he'd make us listen to his love poetry, dedicated to his dead wife, who we later learned did not and had not existed. In retrospect, that love poetry was definitely for us. Specifically, it was for one of us, my friend, Ruth, who looked notably younger than your average 12-year-old. He'd always ask her to write notes on the blackboard and stare at her while she did it. The rest of us noticed Ruth was Mr. Lewis's favorite, but it did not strike us as that weird. Well, one day, it was only Ruth who got to school early. The rest of us did not come till later. She went into Mr. Lewis's room, and I guess he tried something. Luckily, I do not think it got very far. He was put on leave. They brought him back a year later. Fun.
That man needs some serious help. He wrote poetry for a bunch of young girls? That's some croaked up stuff.
Dude had formerly been a relatively well-known corn star, and I guess the school found out. Took us another 2 years after the fact, and boy was it funny. His corn name was Aaron Cage, if anyone wants to Google it. Yep. Mr. Sherwood definitely looks familiar with lengths and angles.
It was in a Catholic monastery school not even 10 years ago. My homeroom teacher prevented the suicide of a nun and got fired for it. That's literally all the info we pupils got at the time. Apparently you cannot do anything right in this world.
So, lem get this straight. Little kids equals shuffle to new congregation, diocese. Prevent a suicide equals termination.
He got in a fist fight with the art teacher because he stopped the guys who were doing art from going to their state exam. The union intervened and he got his job back.
Why did he stop them?
Shop teacher got a sophomore pregnant. Same thing happened when I was in middle school, except the girl was 13.
25 years ago at my all-boys Catholic high school, a priest was accused, caught molesting a student. Of course this wasn't a firing offense for a priest back then, it was just hushed up. The guy was creepy as hell. Earlier this year I read about him in the paper, a fresh round of allegations. He was allowed to keep on going for another 25 freaking years.
You write Catholic priest and you instantly know what it is gonna be about.
My language arts teacher got caught taking the bus up to the mountain to smoke weed with the ski club. This was back before the sticky icky was legal here.
I guess you could say he was high up. Okay, I leave.
I was at a Catholic school, and one teacher got fired because he remarried after a divorce.
Bruh.
A teacher called one of his students and drunk confessed his obsessive love to her on voicemail, promising to leave his new wife and baby for her.
Not only is that messed up to the extreme, it seems so weird.
Teacher took a pickaxe to a speed camera in the middle of a busy day. https://3w.americopa.blah blah blah.
I know it is bad for the people fired, but I cannot stop laughing at this.
The teacher apparently got fired for doing drugs before class a couple years after I had her. I thought it was just rumors before the principal just avoided the question after being asked about it.
My English teacher got fired for doing coke on her lunch break. Really sucks, she was wonderful. Like Towley, she just wanted to get a lil. Hi. Yowdo. B. WAU7DWKG3RK.
The teacher at my middle school got fired because they found her picture on an adult site with no top and her number written across her chest.
Wait, was it like made a long time ago or was it just made? Even then, that's still a stupid reason to fire someone.
Not my school, but one in my general area had an entire lunch period's worth of students watch a male teacher scream at his wife. Female teacher in the same school. After catching her with a janitor. In school.
To be fair, that's how some people probably react. My kindergarten teacher picked me up by the neck and tossed me across the room. She wasn't actually fired. Just not allowed to teach kindergarten again. Instead, she taught second grade. She was my teacher that year, too. In her defense, odds are pretty good that I had it coming.
I am sorry, but even the most facetious and mischievous kindergartner does not deserve to be picked up and thrown.
Other than the sex scandal with underage students that happened, my best friend got a teacher fired on accident because she was buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards with students. He just so happened to say how cool it was to another teacher, which led to, well, the not so happy ending.
That's lame. Sorry for the teacher trying to connect with students.
A really cool teacher of mine put on the 2016 Deadpool movie in class after some convincing from the class. Anyways, some kids snitched. No idea who. And because the movie was rated R, she was fired. She was really cool too, and I felt pretty bad.
The kid who snitched is an asshole.
Probably not that crazy, but a history teacher who made sexually explicit commentary, jokes directed largely at female students on multiple occasions. Showed multiple R-rated films. That had nothing to do with the curriculum. Without getting parental consent. This was 6th grade. So we were 12 years old or so. He also really liked to talk about the Nanking massacre. In graphic detail. Especially the sexual parts. Complete with pictures he put up on the projector. He devoted multiple days to it. I never got confirmation that that was what got him fired. But that was everything that I had documented with times. And dates. And brought up to the principal very shortly before he was never seen at school again.
You and your peers need all the eye bleach y'all can get.
Didn't get fired. But should have. 9th grade. Room of angsty teens gets a new English teacher. Mrs. Stevens. Martha Cricking. Read. This English teacher likes 3 things: Jesus, pouring pills down her autistic son's throat, and Anne Rice. During class, when talking about an assignment, a couple students talked about a student who attempted suicide, and the teacher had enough. She got up and explained how to properly cut your wrists to a whole class. What an educational experience.
Hey, quick question, what the croc? Edit, how the croc did my response get awards? I am not interesting enough, guys, go award top level comments.